Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Shurina. I'm your host. I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the best, recent, cutting-edge, most interesting, effective, and proven in real life brain-body tools to help you take control of your emotions, of your thoughts, of your mindset, and most importantly, of your actions so you shape and create a life experience that you absolutely love living. Because I realized, the other day that I can't relate to one type of people. Maybe it's a lot of types of people. I don't know. But you're probably on this podcast because you want to figure out how to live your life to the fullest, whatever that means to you. You know what I can't relate to some people is that lack of drive of creating a masterpiece of their life. Like, don't you want to figure out how to live your life so you fully enjoy it? Like, don't you? Or Netflix is really that interesting? Or doing the same thing over and over again, like going to the same restaurants or hanging out or going through the same day 365 days a year. Like, is it all there is? Like, I can't relate to that. And I urge you, if you are on this podcast, we are here to grow, to figure ourselves, our lives out, and to figure out how can we live our life fuller and fuller. So if you are looking here for shortcuts to just coast through life and do the least possible, then this podcast is probably not for you. We want to fully embrace our lives and ourselves and carve out our life's path in a way that makes us feel 100% alive and present every single day, like we're living it, with all these struggles and peaks and valleys and things that we love and things that we hate, like we're truly living it, not just coasting half a life, barely feeling like we're making a difference or like our life matters. So that being said, today we're talking about business. I'm going to share with you 3 biggest mistakes that I did for years and I couldn't see those patterns. Like, when you're in your own head, it's hard to see the patterns that don't work for you. And you might see the results and you're like, well, this is not working and this hasn't been working for months and years, but how do I fix it? And unless you get in some sort of routine of feedback, getting feedback from other people, or truly learning from your environment and getting the feedback and then learning that it's not working and changing things until you figure out what wasn't working and how to make it work better. Coaching also is an amazing tool because the other person hears what you have to say or sees how your life works. And they see what you don't see because they're not in your head. And that is a good thing. And they see the world from the outside, from outside of your head. And they can tell you, this pattern you do over and over again, this is what's causing your problems. And then after a while, you start seeing it too. And that's where you are empowered and able to actually fix it. And so I don't know if that's, for me, it was enough pain, getting some coaching, getting a lot of feedback, asking for a lot of feedback from other people. But I started to see so clearly. And now in 2025, I'm embracing this and changing things, how I do in my business. And I know that that's going to be a transformational moment in my entire life. So I'm going to share with you 3 mistakes that I did for years. And I see now so clearly a lot of people do, not just in business, but also in health and fitness and relationships. Maybe that's how we are wired, to stay in the comfort zone, in safety, and not overextend ourselves to do less, not more, to save energy. I don't know. But here are the 3 lessons. Number 1, ship it. If you ever baked a cake or anything, or a cookie, or if you ever cooked, can you agree that until you make it, until you finish it, until you bake your cake and you taste it and you give other people to taste it, you don't really know how good the cake is? And very often I notice in my life and in people I coach and people around me is that we start baking a cake, and then somewhere midway we open an oven and we're like, hey, this cake it isn't looking that great at this moment. I got another idea. Let me try it out. Make it into a better cake, or maybe even make it into a cookie, or whatever dessert you prefer. And we change it and never give a chance the initial cake to work out. We never get any feedback. We never saw if it was any good, and we started to make it into something else. And then maybe somewhere in that process, we decided to make it into something else. And so we try things, never see the result, never get feedback, never give a final product a chance to prove whether it was good or not, so we could learn and we could make it better. And so the lesson for me for this year and many years into the future is that bake the cake, see whether that's good or not, give other people to taste it and give you feedback, and then learn from it and make it better. And do it over and over and over again until the cake is good or even great. But until you bake it, until you ship it into the world, until you get feedback, you don't really know what's going to work, what's good or what's bad. And so my mistake was to jumping from one thing to another, not really shipping, not really giving it all my all, like really trying. If this is the company that wants me to deliver a talk, can I give it my all? Can I create in my best capacity the best pitch I am capable of, and then send it to them and see what the response is, and then ask for another chance to improve it? And yes, the first attempt was kind of a waste, but really not. It allows you to do better. And so bake the cake, ship it and ship it and ship it. And yes, you're going to get a lot of not such good feedback in the sense that you're not that great, but that will allow you to improve. And you do it over and over and over and over again until you get the cake right. And till this point in my life, I was just half baking my cakes and then changing my mind and trying to do something else and never really giving initial thing a chance to succeed. The truth is, guys, and that might sound harsh, but most of our beginnings are shit. Your first draft is shit. Your first app idea is shit. Your first business idea is shit. And actually, co-founder of Netflix agrees with me. Ideas are shit. They are half-baked cakes. And you don't get to make a good cake until you make 100 bad ones, and you gotta ship it. You gotta get response from the world, and sometimes it hurts, but that's how you improve, how your idea improves. Who you are is not good enough for what you want in life. If you're good enough, you would already had it. And the only chance to improve you have when you bake the cakes, when you ship them, when you get the feedback, and people tell you that you're not good enough, and sometimes you lose customers, sometimes you lose money, but it's sometimes you lose the opportunity, but it's the only way to actually get better. Ship it into the world. And Seth Godin, famous marketer or author, has a ton of bestsellers that are legit bestsellers. Did a lot of great work in the world. He once wrote this short blog post, and I think one of the main themes of his work is shipping it. Don't just keep it in your head or half bake it and then changing your mind and trying to perfect it to some standard in your own head when the world wants something completely different. Ship it, get the feedback and then improve. And that's how you get a chance to deliver into the world something that the world, not just you, but the world actually needs and ready to pay you for. The world doesn't care what talents you have. The world cares about the value that you deliver into the world. And you cannot guess that value until you ship it and you get feedback and you improve and grow through it. So this is mistake number one I've been doing for years, half baking my cakes, abandoning them and trying something else because I got another idea for something better, even though I did not know. I couldn't know if the original cake was any good too. And given enough chance, it could turn out into a masterpiece, right? So shipping it and learn from feedback, not getting better, quote unquote, ideas in your head and jumping to something else. And it takes discipline because feedback especially negative, constructive feedback, isn't that pleasant. It tells you are not good enough, and it's actually right. And then the last piece is getting it better, making it good. It's actually hard work. And so that's why so many people, and it's also not that exciting because it's not a new thing. And that's why so many people jump in life from one thing to another. One diet, another diet, one fitness program, another fitness program, one relationship, another relationship, the third relationship. Most of the ideas you have had the potential, but you never baked it. You never shipped it. You never learned from it. So that's mistake number one for me. Number two, solve one problem at a time. And that lesson comes from Elon Musk. I remember listening to one of the, I think it was the guy who wrote one of his biographies. And he spent quite some time with Elon Musk himself, living in his house, spending time looking at Elon Musk's routine, work, and at home. And the interviewer asked that guy who wrote the biography, well, why do you think Elon Musk is so productive? So outperforming so many other entrepreneurs, business owners. And the guy thought for a bit and then said, Elon Musk has this thing. When he encounters a problem in his business, he doesn't let it go until he solves it. So if there is a problem, and usually with enough thinking, you'll figure it out. If there is a problem that needs to be solved for you to move things forward, solve that problem first. Don't spend your time anywhere else. I can give you an example. For years, lead flow or a consistent flow of customers has been my problem. I think it's a problem in many businesses, but as business owners, we start jumping from one thing to another. We're like, maybe I should work on my social media, or maybe I should start working on some community or some other project, and somehow hoping that main problem that we are avoiding to start solving heads on, we think that, that problem is gonna go away while we're sideways walking or tiptoeing around that. Guys, if something gives you pain, you look at the pain and you start solving that pain, not everything that is around that. And what that guy who wrote his biography said, that Elon Musk, when he encounters a problem and this problem slows everything else down, this is like the main log that doesn't allow the water to flow, he would be obsessed with solving this problem. He would give all of the resources, or as much as possible of his personal and his company's resources to solve this problem until it's fixed. And then they move to the next thing. And what I learned and learning in my life, when you give your full attention and energy and power to this one problem that's slowing everything down, like for me for years, it was lead flow, it was customer flow, it's been continuous, which also results, of course, in consistent cash flow, which results in your business growing and thriving and serving more people and creating bigger difference in the world. And so I was avoiding this problem for years because that meant I needed to get out there to talk to my customers, to ask them what's not working, why it's not working, where I'm wrong, where I could be better. It would force me to ask all these questions, which I think at some level I wasn't ready to handle. And maybe on some level, I didn't want to work that hard. I'm like, well, it's kind of working. I'm kind of coasting here, so I'll let it be. And I let it be. And now 10 years later, it's the same freaking problem, right? It's like this small pain that you are avoiding to solve, and it's with you for years and years and years, when if you just looked at it and gave your all, sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month, you would solve it a long time ago and would be at a completely different level. So learning from Elon Musk, what is number one problem that is stopping you from getting to the next level, to the next step in your business, in your health, in your relationships, in whatever challenge you've been struggling with? What is number one thing that you need to solve? And solve it. And it's uncomfortable and often painful psychologically, but solve it. And on the other side, you'll grow and you'll be on a completely different level. It's like the same, I learned in fitness and health and relationships. You stop, you look the problem in the face and like, what is not working in myself, in the world? Of course, with business, with health, with relationships, there is a caveat. Most problems are complex. Like if you don't have in business leads flowing into your business, there might be many sub problems to that. Like your offer is not good enough. It doesn't solve a real problem. You don't solve it in the right way that works for your customer. You don't give people a good path to start engaging with you so that they even understand what it is you offer. And the solution that I found is go very niche and find people who solve this problem and ask them. And very often it's not one person you'll find the answer from. I listen to a ton of podcasts about consulting and growing consultancy from level 0. I reached out to consultants who solved this problem, who figured it out, who got to the next level. I read books, and now I'm finally figuring out all the pieces that are missing for me to solve this lead flow problem from people who solved that, right? And now I'm solving one piece at a time. But I never forget that problem number one is lead flow or customer flow. It's not the lack of some personal, quality. It's not the circumstance. It's nothing outside of my control. It's all in my control, and I can solve it one thing at a time if I don't forget that this is the main problem and it has all additional issues that I need to fix. And once I fix them little by little and I track the progress on my main problem, here I have a real chance to shift things and make major progress in my life, which then will change my life for decades and decades and decades into the future. So guys, if you are stuck and you've been stuck in some area of your life, genuinely give it some thought. What is number one problem that will change everything, that will move everything forward? What is number one problem? And don't stop. Don't shift your attention until you figure that out. Because if you always avoid this, you'll never really get to the next level. It's always going to be kicking you in the butt or biting you in the ass. So number one problem, the secret of Elon Musk, give it your full attention, energy, focus, figure it out, and then see how things start improving and growing. And I'm already seeing it in all the tiny ways that I know with the same persistent attention and energy will grow into bigger and bigger and bigger rewards. So problem number 2, what's your number one problem? Give it your full attention. Stop avoiding it and patching things up all around, but not the main pain point. And number 3, I want to start with another cooking story. The other day, I got some fresh fish from one fish delivery company, and I decided to bake it to try out an oven in our new house. So I got the recipe from my mom, and I got the fish, and I got everything, all the supplies, etc. And I'm cooking there, and I put the fish in, and I put the temperature, and I arranged everything how I was supposed to do. And then 20 minutes later, when the fish is supposed to be cooked and crusty and all of that, I opened up the oven, and the fish didn't look like it was ready to be eaten. I'm like, okay, that didn't work. I thought to myself, what could have gone wrong? And I realized, well, the oven doesn't feel like it's hot enough. So I had a choice, either add some temperature or wait longer. So I decided to add some temperature. It just made sense because that was the temperature I believed was supposed to be higher for the fish to cook. And so I adjusted the temperature. In 7 minutes, the fish was cooked, ready to eat, and I had great dinner. The lesson here, when I looked at that fish, not cooked, not ready to eat, I never thought to myself, well, what's wrong with me? Or the recipe must have been wrong, the recipe that my mom used for years, or something that is wrong with me. I never thought about that. I'm like, the most probable reason is the process that works for this specific oven, that specific house, that specific circumstance. So what I've learned in life, almost every recipe can work. Like the recipe for success you're looking for, the perfect diet, the perfect fitness routine, the perfect business plan. You know what? There are tons of them, hundreds in fact, that work. They just don't work for your specific situation. And that's where your challenge begins. You get a good enough recipe, realize that you survived till this point in your life. There's probably nothing wrong with you at all. You can figure things out like you did many times before. So the recipe is fine. You is fine, right? The recipe for the fish is fine. And I'm fine. But the methodology needs some work. The strategy and tactics need some work to adapt to my very unique oven. Almost every oven after some usage becomes unique in every house. Like every housewife knows this. Like you get to a new oven and you're like, oh, let me figure it out. Try something before throwing a big fist for the whole family and then getting disappointed. So you adjust the recipe, the settings based on what you've got. And the same in life. You get your business plan, you get your idea, you got you who figured a lot of things out. Now your challenge is to make the recipe work for you and for your specific situation. And if we learned collectively anything in human history, is that human beings are freaking resilient and we can figure things out. There is a way and you can make one once you commit and you keep testing, iterating, changing conditions, not trying to, oh, what's wrong with me? Let me go and fix, let me go into some therapy. I'm not saying that therapy is useless, but I'm saying that most often for a lot of problems in life, it's not you, nothing wrong with you. And it's not the recipe. It's totally fine. You simply need to make some adjustments and get your fish ready to eat, delicious and crusty. And so that is the lesson number 3. Don't give up. Don't blame the recipe. Don't blame yourself. Figure it out. That's where the challenge is. That's how some people succeed and some people don't. They quit, they give up, they think, they blame the recipe, they blame themselves. You need a better methodology. You don't need to fix yourself or the recipe. The recipe worked for hundreds of people, thousands, or whatever that number is. Nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with the recipe. You need to keep adjusting until you find a fit fish in the oven. So these are 3 major lessons that I'm internalizing and putting into practice. Number 1, ship it. Deliver it to your customer. Talk to your customer. Talk to whoever needs to be talked to. Get the feedback. It's not going to be pleasant, but ship it, ship it, ship it. You cannot know if the cake is good if it's half-baked and you change the recipe. Number 2, one problem at a time. What's the main problem? The lesson from Elon Musk. Give it your all. Don't stop until you figure it out. That's how you make major moves in life. See where Elon Musk got? From nowhere in South Africa, nobody, to the richest man in the world, literally. Number 3, it's not you. It's not the recipe. You don't need to go on some Vipassana retreat, and the business strategy or relationship or fitness program is just fine. Tweak it. Make it work for you. Yes, it will take some work to figure it out, but ask other people. Ask ChatGPT. There are so many resources you can ask these days. And then tweak it, track the results, adjust, improve, and you'll get your fish ready. Hope this, guys, was useful to you, and you might see the patterns in yourself. Like if you're stuck in life, there is something you are repeating that isn't working. What is it? These 3 mistakes that I did for years, a good way to start. Are you half-baking your cakes? Are you avoiding the main problem that should be solved? Are you blaming or jumping from one recipe to another, from one retreat to another, not really working through the details, tweaking and figuring out the solution that works in your specific situation? What is it? There is a way for you to get unstuck, to start living your best life experience, and it's on you to figure it out. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely capable. So lean into the work, ship, focus on the main problem, tweak, adjust, and start living every day the life experience that you absolutely love living. Hope this was useful. Please do share this podcast with at least one other person who's equally going to be blown away and might see their patterns to get unstuck. Let's make the world better together. Please do share this podcast. And till next time, keep tweaking, keep shipping, keep focusing on the main problem, and there is no limit to what you can achieve.